'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Hello, everybody. Mark Schaftlein here. This is the Schaftlein Minute, CPAC edition. And we're going to give you a breakdown of what happened at CPAC and a summary of the news or not so good news for the week for the Democrats. Anyhow, all-star lineup at CPAC. Outstanding Republicans. I'm just going to go through the roster with you. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. You can't go anywhere in the state of Florida without people complimenting Ron DeSantis. An outstanding governor. The state of Florida is open for business. Senator Mike Lee of Utah. Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin. James Langford from Oklahoma. Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who really brought down the House today at his CPAC speech. Representative Mo Brooks of Alabama. The young Madison Cawthorn, North Carolina, future guest on Schaftlein Report. Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. Matt Gaetz, one of everybody's favorite at CPAC. Matt Gaetz, he is something else. Bright future for young Mr. Gaetz. Senator Rick Scott from the great state of Florida. Josh Hawley, who is likely a presidential contender, along with Senator Tom Cotton and Ted Cruz. Donald Trump Jr. and his girlfriend Kimberly Guilfoyle spoke today. That's just a roster of today's group, folks. That's an all-star lineup in itself. Tomorrow, we're followed by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton's outstanding, folks. You got to listen to him. Ambassador Rick Grinnell. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who also may be throwing his hat in the ring for 2024. Senator Bill Hagerty of Tennessee. Ambassador Robert Lighthizer, who represented the United States in the trade negotiations with China. Fox News favorite Devin Nunes of California. Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming. A new and rising star in the Republican Party, former football star Burgess Owens. Representative Darrell Issa from California, back in Congress. Andy Biggs from Arizona. Lauren Boebert, who owns Shooter's Bar and Restaurant in Colorado. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. And a rising star, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. And then on Sunday, we wrap up CPAC with former Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's running for governor of Arkansas. Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Former National Security Advisor Larry Kudlow. And then the big dog of big dogs, President Donald Trump, will close it out on Sunday. Folks, it's a really exciting CPAC conference. The speakers are outstanding. The conservatives in the audience are thrilled. And despite whatever garbage you may hear from the media, this is an outstanding CPAC conference. Now, other highlights of the week, and we're going to get into these briefly with you. The Georgia Senate, little known piece, passed a photo ID law. You know, they're not dumb down in Georgia. They learned from the last election. You know, there was a confrontation also this week, folks. Kevin McCarthy said Trump should be speaking. Liz Cheney said he should not. Folks, it's really becoming obvious Liz Cheney is really fish out of water because Trump's approval rating in the Republican Party is still hovering 80-85%. You know, I always have this saying, if you can't say anything nice, don't say something at all. And for Liz Cheney to continue this, again, I supported her to be able to say what she wanted, but this is starting to drag on too much. And if it continues, we're going to have to do something to deal with that leadership issue. More problems for Andrew Cuomo, you know, whether it be covering up the death toll from the nursing home fiasco to now the sexual harassment charges against Cuomo. I tell you, I don't know anybody in politics had a worse 2-3 weeks than this guy. And folks, it's being investigated by numerous people. But here's the hypocrisy. Folks, if this was a Republican and not the brother of Chris Cuomo, a CNN anchor, it'd be all over every news story, ABC News, Washington Post, New York Times, you name it. But it's not. It's a Democrat. And so you're not going to hear anything about it. You know, limited it all on the major news networks. You probably wouldn't even know about it if you didn't hear it from the conservative spots. Limited coverage at best. But folks, it's not going away. And Governor Cuomo now has 2 strikes against him. Will there be a third? Tune in. We'll continue to see. And the laugher of the week, Jan Psaki, blamed the Trump administration for the migrant crisis down on the border. Folks, one thing I hope you've noticed, President Trump has been out of office since January 20th. We're getting ready to turn the page on February heading into March. Can you name one legislative accomplishments of the Biden administration? Nothing, nada, zero. Everything has come from these executive orders. Now, that's about to change, but to blame Trump, they're blaming everything on Trump. He's not even in office. So, heading into March, the House is going to pass this $1.9 trillion bill. It's likely to pass in the Senate on party lines. But a major development that happened, the $15 minimum wage piece will not be in that bill because the parliamentarian in the Senate ruled that that could not be part of it under the budget reconciliation rules. Folks, we told you that was going to happen. Now, all the libs are freaking out. You know, you're hearing things like, we got to do away with that filibuster in the Senate. They're freaking out. Trust me, they'll end up trying another way to get this $15 minimum. Or what I really predict will probably happen, it'll be a lesser known type thing, probably going to raise the minimum wage in the $10 to $11 an hour range, somewhere along that piece, and then gradually over an extended period of time, ramp it up a little bit higher. But I think 15 is something part of the past. And then in the insane piece of the week, the most crazy thing I heard all week, Under Armour Corporation is forcing white employees to go to anti-racist reeducation. Folks, you can't make this garbage up. It actually happened at a major corporation. If I was a white employee working at Under Armour, I'd tell them, stick it up your ass. I'm not taking it. And if you want to fire me, I'll sue you. These liberal, whack job, cancel culture, far left-wing kook nut jobs trying to discriminate against people because the color of their skin is outrageous. And the employees who are forced to do this ought to tell them, stick it up your ass. I'm not doing it. Okay, that was the insane moment. So, folks, the big dog is speaking on Sunday. Pay attention to the CPAC speeches. You can look at them all over the internet. You can see them. We have an outstanding roster of speakers. Now, some people who aren't there at CPAC, most notable by his absence, Mike Pence. So this is going to be the very first part of the Republican audition for 2024. And like I mentioned, you've got some Republican senators, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Tom Cotton, possibly Rick Scott, possibly Marco Rubio. There could be others. Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State. Again, nobody's announced officially, but you could sort of read the tea leaves. I got to tell you, folks, when I looked down that roster and I went over with you at the top of the wrap up here, that is one outstanding bench of Republicans. And now you're going to hear the mainstream media over the weekend lambasting Donald Trump. It's like the sun rises and sets. You know it's going to happen. And all they're going to do is be critical. And you're going to hear garbage like, well, the American people, 70% of them support the $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief bill. Republicans are on the wrong side of history. That's baloney. Even Michael Bloomberg's top economist was on one of the morning shows this morning. Steve Ratner, well respected. Steve Ratner manages Mike Bloomberg's money. He's a very, very smart guy. He's a Democrat, but he's a very, very sharp guy. And Ratner came on today and basically, when asked the question by a couple liberal commentators on the Joe and Mika Schmo show, basically said, this package is too big. It is going to cause inflation. We shouldn't be anywhere near 1.9 trillion. He was comparing the lost productivity in the economy because of COVID. And the way he showed, he said, the reality is this package is 3 times the size it ought to be, which means we really should be talking about a package in the 600 to 700 billion range, specifically targeted just for COVID relief. But no, in this package, you got all kind of garbage in there. $350 billion for cities and states. all kind of crap. You got to read the bill, folks. It's unbelievable. There's garbage in there. 90% of the stuff in this bill doesn't even relate to COVID. That's how bad it is. And when the American public finally sees it, maybe they'll come to their senses. But it's like anything else. You stand on a corner and hand out 1,400 C notes, $1,400 C notes. I mean, you say, well, hey, Mr. Smith, would you like $1,400? Nah, I really don't need it. Of course it's going to have 70%. But when you say, well, do you realize we're going to pop the deficit another $2 trillion? And how's that going to be paid for? Well, by you and your kids. Well, maybe not the best idea. Look, folks, there's some relief that can be garnered out of this bill. And there are certain Americans under certain income brackets that really need the help. We got no issue with that. Our only issue is with all the froth and the Democratic liberal wish list garbage that's in this bill, but it's likely to pass. So, again, brace yourself, folks. But the highlight, again, Sunday night, the big dog, former President Trump speaks, really hasn't said much other than talking about Rush Limbaugh's death about 8-9 days ago since he's been out of the White House. This is a coming out party for the 45th president. And I'll tell you, a lot of conservatives are looking forward to hearing it. So we'll be back with you on Monday. Apologize for yesterday. We had some technical difficulties with our show. That's why we couldn't air it. So we wanted to have a follow-up here on Friday night, wrapping up the week. And again, stay safe over the weekend. We'll be with you on Monday. Have a great weekend, folks. This is Mark Schaftlein, and this is an expanded edition, weekend version of the Schaftlein Minute. Have a nice weekend. Thanks for watching.
'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this.